Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome again to another live this morning. Hope you're having a great start to your day. And we'll say hello to a few folks as per our custom this morning. Okay, here we go. As you get your notices, say hello. Don't be shy. We appreciate it. Okay, Kevin, first one up this morning. Jen from Cape Breton. Rosalinda, Niagara Falls. Francis Marie, good morning. Nativity and Mary. Rosa, good morning. Laurie, Niagara Falls. And Brahim, Portland, Oregon, good, part of our family. Christina, good morning. And Lynn, Halifax. Nick from our staff. Brenda, good morning. Lorraine, British Columbia. Sandra, Aurelia. And Wendy, good morning. Marco, no bacon this morning. Already had it. Chantal. Claudie, good morning. Jeanette from our staff. Deanna, LaSalle. Frida, good morning. And Sandra, Brampton. Wanda, Melbourne, Quebec. Len and Judy out in Edmonton, Alberta. Mara, or Marval from Ottawa. Micheline, Yolande, Karen, Kincardine, and Sally from Chile, Pennsylvania. Nicole, Crystal, Alberta. Fran, Orangeville, good morning. Faye, Terrace, BC. Nellie, good morning to you. Saudi, how are you? Milika, Stouffville and it's cold. Star. And Babika, good morning. Naperville, right? Illinois. Claudette, Hamner, Olive, Northern Ontario. Maryland, Edmonton, Arlene. Okay, Rita, good morning. Couple more, we'll get going here. Yvonne, how are you? Jocelyn and Rosalinda, already said hello to you, right? Deb, good morning from Detroit, Michigan. Mara from Windsor. Okay, guys, what I want to talk about this morning is we're going to talk about brain health again. Specifically Alzheimer's, okay? Specific, the new study came out and that I want to get into a little bit, and it leads us into a discussion of Alzheimer's. Now, before I do that, let me just finish up what I was talking about yesterday on protein. Protein is king. Now, this new study came out. I saw it yesterday. Okay, and the study is, here's the headline. Protein, hunger, okay? Hunger drives overeating. Protein hunger drives overeating, meaning that when you don't eat enough protein, now we talked about it yesterday, the sources of protein, the best source of protein, animal protein. When you don't get enough of it, your cells scream at you that you're hungry. Your body's looking for the right fuel. Okay? Your body's looking for the right fuel. People that insist on being carboholics, their hunger never gets turned off. Now, we know hormonally that happens because of the imbalance between leptin, which tells you you're full, and ghrelin, that tells you to eat. That gets all messed up when you don't eat protein. This is when you don't eat enough protein. What I'm saying is this: when you change fuels, and thousands could testify to this, that when they get on the reset, duh, I'm not near as hungry. No, because at the cellular level, you are feeding your cells, and especially your mitochondria, especially the little battery packs, you're giving it the right ATP, which is the right fuel. Okay? Just thought I'd put a little bow on what we were talking about yesterday. Okay? So, let's get into brain health. Now, we wrote emails on this subject. We've written many. But I want to bring you something new that came out in the last week. And here's what it says. It's called the autoimmune theory of Alzheimer's. Interesting. Science magazine. And what they did, this was done at the University of Toronto. What they did is they looked at a paper that was published in 2006 that tweaked their interest, that suggested that beta amyloid, which we'll talk about in a minute, was sort of a rut that medicine got caught up in. We've talked about that. Remember when I talked about in August, some major things developed in mental health. Three major things. One, they got Alzheimer's wrong because they focused in on beta amyloids. And all of their research, all of their, when Big Pharma got involved and looked for medication, they got into a rut, and it was never true. That came out in August. Then we talked about antidepressants. All of the review studies showed it's really not serotonin. So all the medications that were developed to fight depression really were looking for love in all the wrong places. And then the third one that came out in August was on bipolar. And what did they say? From everything they've looked at, it really had to do with insulin more than anything else. It was a metabolic thing. So those were fascinating studies. Now this one, looked at a review. They looked at where this rut that the world sort of got into in Alzheimer's, and they looked at it and said, it really wasn't right, and it wasn't beta amyloids, it was, we think, autoimmune. Wow, that's interesting. They talked about autoimmune disorder, when their body turns on itself. And I won't argue with that. Because a big factor is leaky gut. Leaky gut, leaky brain. Leaky gut, leaky skin. Leaky gut, leaky lungs. Leaky gut, leaky sinuses. Leaky gut, leaky joints. Leaky gut, leaky liver. We've gone through that many a times. Big on leaky gut. Hippocrates. All diseases start in the gut. Well, a lot of them do. And now they're looking at that brain, the gut-brain connection. Interesting, isn't it? And what we said about it is the brain is connected to the gut. Well, the brain is connected to your liver. Big time. But the gut-brain connection through the blood, one, and then through the 10th cranial nerve, the gut has a big, big effect on the brain and your memory center. And this is what they're saying. Now, what they're not saying, and let me say it, when they say autoimmune, the immune system seems to be attacking itself, autoimmune. Guys, here's what I've said for a long time, what happens in the brain. Yeast, fungus, candida, albicans. It travels. Leaky gut. It travels in the bloodstream, up into the brain. You got a yeast infection up there. That really, really messes up the brain. And there's reasons for it. One thing that yeast does, it carries. It's a carrier. It's an invasive species, and it's a carrier of heavy metals. When you hear about mercury, lead, cadmium up in the brain, how does that happen? It got carried, my friend, by candida. Yeast carries it. That's how it crosses the blood-brain barrier. So that's significant. That's significant. Garbage doesn't belong in your brain. That's for sure. Now, we have a system up there. Amazing. We never understood this. No, I've never even heard of it. Now, we know about the lymphatics, but we didn't know about the self-cleaning oven of your brain. But if you don't sleep, the oven doesn't. The self-cleaning part doesn't work. It's called your glymphatic system. Glymphatics in the brain. It has its own detox. Amazing. But you need to sleep to do that. It doesn't work while you're awake. Amazing. So that's a factor, especially in memory and cognitive. Okay? So what they're saying in this most recent study, and what got them going, was looking at a 2006 study on beta amyloids. And if you today, even today, were to Google Alzheimer's, they'll tell you, oh, beta amyloids. Now, I'm not saying they're not there. I'm not saying that. What I am saying, that ain't the real bobo. It's not that. Yeast is a huge factor. And today, because of the use of antibiotics, the overuse of antibiotics, that sets us up for leaky gut like nothing else. Now, there's other factors in leaky gut. Of course there is. Even non-steroidal anti-inflammatories. People live off Advil. And I know they don't classify Tylenol as a non-steroidal, but Tylenol, my friend, because it's over the counter, I was reading an article in the last few days about there's not enough Tylenol for children in Canada. I don't know what happened, but there's not enough Tylenol. Look, I'm not against pain medication. Okay? Like, it should be very, very, very temporary at best. But there's side effects to that stuff. It's well documented what it does to your liver. But what people don't realize is, because they can't see it, it's what it does to your gut. It destroys the microbiome. But nothing is as bad as antibiotics. The same things that save your life can cause slow death, and slow death of your brain because of yeast. When you get rid of the good guys, you have an invasive species of the third army. Everybody's got a little bit of yeast in their gut. You don't want to eradicate it completely. But when your microbiome is healthy, the good guys and the bad guys, they're two armies looking at each other and they cooperate. Look, let's not fight until the good guys get wiped out. And I'm going to bring you another step because this one just came out too. Another one on Alzheimer's. And you know what they were saying? The mitochondria in the brain, your brain mitochondria, get affected by bacteria from the mouth. Bacteria from the mouth. And this is where the dentists come in, where they talk about, you get a bacteria under the lining of the gums or whatever, and that can travel up to the brain. And they're talking about that, how it can damage the brain. And then we brought to you last week, I think, well, at least we talked about it, mouthwash. Be careful. Again, guys, it comes back to you don't want to wipe out all bacteria in your mouth. You don't want to wipe it all out. And so when you use, mouthwash with alcohol or whatever, it kills all the good guys too in your mouth. Why do you think I love oil of oregano so much? Okay? But they're talking about the mouth-brain connection. Interesting. But it comes back to bacteria. You got good guys. Don't wipe them out. Don't wipe them out. Don't over-clean. I saw somebody yesterday, again, the squirt of these anti-bacterial soaps. Ugh. I said, you're killing all your good guys. Those chemicals are getting right into your skin. You're rubbing it in. You're killing the microbiome. It ain't good for you. It's carcinogenic. We're going to see so much, guys, I'm telling you. I'm not a prophet nor the son of one, but when I look down the road of the future of this world and I see the craziness of over-cleaning, because we've made viruses and bacteria bad guys. Folks, you can't live without that stuff. And I'm not saying never wash your hands or whatever. I'm not saying that. But use old-fashioned soap and water. And quit over-cleaning everything. They're talking about, I know I'm getting sidetracked. I'm sorry. They're talking about the hospitals are being overwhelmed. Kids. Okay? They're being overwhelmed. We've destroyed their immune system. They got no more immunity like they used to. Ooh. Nobody talks about the immune system. It drives me crazy. Okay, so the brain. Bacterial connection, leaky gut, leaky brain, yeast, fungus, carriers of heavy metal. What do you think they see, folks, by the way? Why do we see so much MS today? Parkinson's today. Leaky gut, leaky brain. Leaky gut, leaky brain. Okay, so beta amyloids, tau, T-A-U, proteins, talked about that. And inflammation. Now let me let me talk about inflammation for a second. You know what the fog of war is? The fog of war. Friendly fire, hitting each other. And one of the things with inflammation, what it does, is cells can't communicate with each other. There's a fog between them. And inflammation without infection, okay? Or inflammation without injury. You haven't been injured. You know, if you kick me in the knee, yeah, inflammation's normal. Hey, you kicked me in the knee. And I'm going to have extra blood supply and extra protein and extra enzymes, and the body's ambulance system gets going. That's normal. You got a virus. You got a fever. That's normal. Your body's ambulance system is working. Now, when you get a fever, do you feel good? Nah, you usually feel pretty rotten. But you see, people go around, they don't even realize that their inflammation is through the roof. They don't even know it. They don't feel good, but nobody's told them. Inflammation is a major factor, and the number one cause of inflammation is when I talk about inflammation, remember now, I'm talking about the silent type. Without a virus, without bacteria, and without an injury, how can you have inflammation in your body? People, I had someone tell me the other day, I don't have any inflammation. I said, you got high insulin. You got inflammation, my friend. You don't feel it, per se. It's not a fever. It's inflammation, systemic. Your body's in an irritated state. That affects the brain, big time. But where does inflammation come? Not Houdini. There's a reason. There's always a reason for inflammation. And doctors, they're so reticent to check for that. They don't get it. Hello, get the memo. Check for inflammation, the silent type. Do a CRP test. C-reactive protein. It should be at 0. If it's above that, something's causing an irritation in the body of the fog. There's fog in the body. Cells are not communicating with each other properly. In the brain, it can be very, very damaging. To your memory center, especially. The hippocampus. And then of course, one of the things, insulin is the major issue of silent inflammation. The other one is our insistence on eating crappy carbohydrates. Not only affects your insulin, but affects the amount of omega-6 we're consuming compared to omega-3. That is a huge issue today in our society. The amount of omega-6, all the seed oils. Like when you go to a fast food, okay? When you go fast food, it's what they cook with. McDonald's used to use lard. And they don't. The lard police came around and told them, that stuff's going to give you a heart attack. What are you cooking your French fries in that oil for? Why are you cooking with lard? And they changed the police, the food police, the how do I say that word? The idiocy of bad oils. Butter ain't good for you. Butter's going to give you cholesterol. You don't want to use lard, do you? Going to give you cholesterol. It's full of saturated fat. You got to use our gift to society. Here's Canada's gift to the world. Canola oil. Ooh. We shouldn't have given that gift. It's made people very unwell. Don't cook in it. You can use canola oil if you want. Put it in your car as part of your oil change. It's completely, because guess what, guys? I just got my oil change done. You know what they asked me? Do you want synthetic? Of course, they don't know what I'm talking about. I said, you mean you're going to put canola oil in there? Or soy? Fully synthetic? They look at it, I didn't say it, but I felt like saying it. You can run a jumbo jet on that oil, vegetable oil. It's not vegetable by any stretch of the imagination. That's what they give it the name. It's a seed oil. It's terrible stuff. It elevates omega-6, and you know what that does? When you get to, it should be about 3-to-1 omega-6 to omega-3 in your body. And most people are walking around, it's about 20 to 30 to 1 ratio. Kids, 20, 30 to 1. Everything they eat almost is full of seed oils. All packaged goods. Everything in the middle aisles of the grocery store. It's crazy. You go down the aisles and look for a good oil, and it's full of those high inflammatory oils, guys. You know what that does to wear the brain down? Why do you think I love butter so much? Because that's what you're meant to eat. And you can cook with it. Okay? Yeah. Love butter. I had a steak last night, and guess what? I just pour the butter on it. So good for you. Yeah. Okay. So insulin creates inflammation. Omega-6 versus omega-3 creates an inflammatory response in the body. Very detrimental to the brain. Very detrimental. So we looked at autoimmune. We look at insulin and metabolic syndrome. What happens in the liver don't stay in the liver. And that goes up into the brain. And it's not good for the memory center. And the other thing that insulin does, okay, here's what happens in insulin resistance in the brain. Okay? Carbs. We talked about it. I'm sure any future podcasts, I'm going to be talking about this all the time. I can't help myself. I repeat. When you eat a carbohydrate, okay? When you eat what we call low density food, low nutrient value food, your body has to respond. Sugar cannot stay in the bloodstream. It can't. Insulin must park it. It parks sugar, and you can't park in the blood. So what does it do? Okay? It brings it, parks it in the liver, parks it in fat cells. Well, park it in your muscles if you have enough muscles. Okay? How does that affect my brain? Well, you see, when your brain is headquarters, the federal government, it doesn't matter what you eat, it'll take 25% as a tax. So if you have sugar, your brain says, that's not good for me. Your brain's smart. Okay? It's not good for me, but I don't care. I need energy, so send me the sugar. Sugar goes up. And insulin must go up there too. Because insulin is saying to the sugar, come here, can't park in the brain. Don't park there. I know you got called up there and the brain is saying, hey, I got to have that for energy because you're not eating protein, so I'll take whatever you're giving me, 25% of it. But what happens, insulin says, you come here, get out, until the day you develop insulin resistance. With insulin resistance, now the insulin cannot cross the blood-brain barrier. That barrier, you don't see it, but it's there, my friend. God has given you a barrier between your blood and your brain to protect the brain. So insulin can't get across. You know what sugar does when left unattended in the brain? You know what it loves the most? It loves to saturate the hippocampus and especially the memory center of the brain and your memory cells and your neurotransmitters within the brain. They get saturated with sugar in the absence of insulin. Insulin is there. It's at the door of the blood-brain barrier. It's knocking, but it can't come in. Because your brain center, the blood-brain barrier says, you can't come in here. So guess what happens? Sugar stays in the brain and it destroys your brain. Doesn't happen overnight, my friend. But it ain't good. This is why they call Alzheimer's type 3 diabetes. My friend, that is the best name they ever gave it, but you don't hear about it that much. But that's one of the major factors. Insulin cannot do its job in the brain. It can't take that sugar out of there. And that's the danger of insulin resistance. My friend, that is metabolic syndrome. Think about it. It's food. It's your choice of foods. Metabolic syndrome. Okay, so we talked about that. Insulin, inflammation, leaky gut. The three things that we talk about as terms of the three seeds of a disease. It's in that trio, that triad. Leaky gut, insulin resistance or high circulating insulin, what sugar does, what food, bad, crappy carbs do, comes back to the kitchen. And autoimmune, of course, leaky gut. Interesting, isn't it? And then our third seed of disease is oxidative damage. One of the worst oxidative damages, one of the worst effects of oxidative damage is in the brain. This is where these amyloid plaques even come from. This is where these tau, T-A-U, proteins come from. What do they come from? Sugar. Glycation. How do we age? We glycate. We lose elasticity. The brain loses its functionality. The aging of the brain. Now, like I said, you can't control everything in life. You really can't. But what goes in your mouth, my friend, I double down on, I triple down on, I quadruple down on. I talk about it all the time. Make the right choices of food. You want to protect your brain? Of course, I love vitamin D for the brain. We talked about cognitive decline with vitamin D. We talked about exercise, vitamin E, the real vitamin E, exercise, strong legs, strong brain. Vitamin D, very important for the brain. Every cell in your body has a receptor for vitamin D. You're a human solar panel. Never forget it. I know you guys know that. Okay. Did you have fun? Okay. We got a great week coming up. Okay? Got a great week coming up. We appreciate you guys. Thank you for the loyal support. We appreciate that. Tell your friends about the Doctors In podcast. Or they can join us live on Facebook in the mornings if they can. If not, they can get it on Facebook. And we appreciate that. Okay, the venues that people come on and listen to the program. We appreciate that big time. Remember, Friday is question and answer Friday, so send your questions in. Don't be shy. Okay. We love you guys. We'll talk to you soon.